Hey, what's up guys? Wanted to make a video after a long time. Let's see where to begin. So, long story short, after COVID came and went, and there's some realizations that I came to have. There's some realizations I had which changed the trajectory of how I want to grow my agency. So since I took that hit, lost a bunch of clients, and now kind of, things are stagnant still. Initially, after COVID came, there was just like so much thoughts going through my head, as I can imagine anybody would have. But now that I've kind of taken a step back and have been like sort of stagnant for some time, I'm come to a point where I realized in every single division, in sales, in delivery, in management, how to just make the whole thing a lot easier for yourself. Just stop like overcomplicating stuff, like to another level, to a point where almost like try to think out not just think out the box, almost like think what is the least resistance. So anyways, what I want to do is I'll see if I make a couple of videos towards this. And today's video, I just want to talk about more like a rant, my thoughts on the sales side, right? Okay, cool. So let's get into it. So recap real quick. 2018 was still the best year, I would say. It was the most fun, explosive. Didn't know anything, nothing at all. Started first year properly and 30K a month. It was really cool, and it's pretty simple, right? Like when in the beginning you could just sell. I mean, simple to the point where even if your delivery sucks, honestly, like one of the most beautiful things about SEO is that the industry standard is that it already takes 6 to 12 months. So it's not like you get clients and they're going to be leaving in after like 2 months or anything like that. It gives you some time to figure things out, even if you're a complete noob. So let's say I was there, 30K a month. Here's where I believe I did a mistake, and one of the reasons why 2019 was such a waste year is that I thought what got me there is gonna also keep going and get me to, like, let's say 100K, right? Naively, I shot for 100K a month beginning of 2019, and not only did I undershoot the complexities of scaling the delivery for SEO. Not only that, but also I just put a expectation for myself, which wasn't really it was not necessary, right? Because I was thinking that, hey, I can sell. It comes very easily to this is probably what I should be doing. Like, this is definitely the thing that I want to do, which was right. But the mistake I made is that within the sales process, there's like 3 major chunks. Right? Like in the way I get sales, one of the major ways would be to just cold call, get people interested, send them a video audit, and then close them over a phone call afterwards, right? So those are like 3 parts. I looked at the whole thing as like a chunk. It's like I either do sales or I don't do sales. What I should have done is that the biggest chunk out of that piece that takes the most time is the initial part, right? It is the part that you have to call 4, 5, 6 hours a day to get any level of good traction. That's the part that I should have started right after 2018, as beginning of 2019. I should have started to get into the process of really getting somebody good and learning how to hire somebody good to do that job. If I had done that at that time, I would have at least had one person who is at the very least able to make calls and get people interested. After that, we can make a process that you have a lot more flexibility. If they're able to make calls, and if you get somebody really good, they might be able to even make the video audits, then you're just closing. That's a complete different world than you doing the whole thing. For some of you watching, this might sound very basic, but it was more like a realization to me in a big way, not too long ago. Not that I didn't know you can hire callers, right? I even tried to get callers in the past, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. But the point was breaking it down to a fundamental level and just looking at it like, okay, right, this is like, seriously, the first part is extremely time, it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. And then the second part, which you could say takes the most skill, like closing the client, it needs significantly less time and energy, right? For example, if you want to get, let's say you want to get an extra $10,000 of business. If you sell, like, let's say $1,500, $2,000 per client, whatever it may be, anywhere from 5 to 7 clients, right? An average decent good close ratio is to close 1 client out of 5 clients, like 1 out of 5 of the people that actually come to the final step, whether it be you closing it over the phone or screen share, whatever it may be, they're interested, they're prone, they know what your service is, they're here to talk about and are qualified and be able to afford it and everything like that. They're a qualified prospect, should be closing about 1 out of 5. And if you do the math, right, like if you want to get 5 clients to get there, that's 25 hours of closing. Right, that's like literally half of a week of time to get you another 10K of business. It's a very small amount of time that is needed for you to scale your business when it comes to just closing. The difficulty is getting the first part down. Can you get someone who can make calls reliably, and and then if you have something in the middle, like a video audit or some kind of information you send them to increase the chance of them actually coming to the final stage, then if they can handle that as well, that'll be golden. And so in that line of thought, in the past, like, when did I try this? I don't really remember. But I had tried somebody as just making calls. And what happened was I tried this person in the Philippines. So I went through onlinejobs.ph, very similar to how I hire VAs, and I got this person to make calls. And guess what? It didn't work, right? It didn't work. So surprising. I'm being sarcastic, because if you have ever tried this, you'd realize that it just doesn't work like that. Aside from all the little details of their skills or their understanding of culture in America and whatever you want to call it, generally speaking, if somebody is let's say in the Philippines, you're going to be hiring them, even from a worldview, you are getting a customer who's going to be paying you $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month, and they, on average, let's say they stay 6 months. So it's a high-ticket product, right? It's each product is probably worth to you anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 over the course of them staying with you, depending on your average client size and how long the average one stays. And then you're trying to get this person, or I tried to get this person at a very cheap rate by paying somebody like $150 a week or something like that, and then like maybe a small commission when like I close the deal. The point is, it just doesn't work like that, right? It's very hard. It could work but you really have to like. I consider myself like pretty okay at like I would say pretty good at being able to teach like the sales process, right? And what I mean by that is that I am a person who used to absolutely suck at sales, scared, also have like anxiety issues in the past, and then I was thrown to learn to sell, and I went and became somebody who can do decent or good at closing and getting clients. So when I say I can coach, I mean that I can take somebody who's probably like introverted or sucky and coach them properly to be decent compared to, let's say, somebody who has sales naturally come to them. Anyways, I'm digressing. The point I was trying to make is it's probably very difficult, in my experience, it's very difficult to train somebody else overseas who has like, maybe you got attracted to them because they did some sales experience, like maybe some inbound stuff, or maybe even some outbound stuff, but maybe they were just like, required to do some outreach type sales calls, if you know what I mean. That doesn't require, like, once the person gets interested, it doesn't require any more, like, furthering the conversation to really make sure they're qualified, things like that. So, that's it, in a nutshell. All that being said, in my experience, I realized that it doesn't really work. And since that experience, these little generalizations really end up costing you lots of time, right? Like, because that turned me off. I'm like, oh man, I tried it. Okay, it doesn't really work. Okay, man, I guess, so, 2 months is gone. They didn't do anything. Let them go. All right, it's back to me. Instead of me taking a step back and thinking like, okay, all right, what if I was to get somebody actually to do it here? Now, here's the pros and cons, at least from our mindset when we first look at it. Okay, in the Philippines, or somewhere else, wherever it may be, let's say you pay like anywhere from $150, $200 to $300 a week, let's say. Whereas if you get somebody here, to make it anything worthwhile for somebody to do it hard, like they need to at least be able to pay their bills, right? Even at base, if you were to give them like $1,200, $1,500, it almost doesn't cut it. You're gonna have to be in the ballpark of like, let's say $12,000 to $2,000. It needs to be a good opportunity, and it needs to be an actual opportunity, like a system already in place that you are running, which somebody can come in, and if they have some decent experience in sales in the past and they're hardworking, they should be able to just plug themselves in, and within relatively short amount of time, let's say a month, by the end of the month, they should be able to at the very least, be able to see that this works, right? I'm pretty sure most people don't have that. Pretty sure. If they can even get the sales themselves, I'm pretty sure they don't have that system set up with enough care that gives a person the right shot, right? Like at least a good shot at being successful. Anyways, once you have that in place, then the numbers can work out actually not that bad. There's only one more mindset shift that has to unlock, and that is the price you're willing to pay to acquire a customer. So you see, when we start, right, naturally the most attractive methods are free. For me, cold calling. I already pay my phone bill. How much does it cost me to acquire a client? $0. So all I do is bust my ass and call. That's how you think in the beginning. But after you get to a point, you realize that that comes at a price, right? You can't be calling all day, then there's really nobody to do rest of the business, pretty much. And if you were to break down, without getting into your hourly rate and all that stuff, but basically, bottom line is that you have to come with the understanding that, okay, look, an average client pays me $1,500 per month. If I'm paying a guy around that price point for the month, $1,500, $2,000, and he gives me even one client a month, it's fine. It pays for itself. It's really a good investment. It has so many perks. That person is going to get better. If you get somebody here, there's more options they can like verge into. Like for example, if you are somehow able to make it work with a caller from India, Bangladesh, Philippines, let's say, well, if you went through tooth and nail and got them to call decent, let's say. Now you're trying to get them to do video audits. Just try to think: what are the chances that, like, how much more difficult would it be? Let's put it like that. Not what are the chances. How much more difficult would it be to teach an average person in those places? I mean, guys, like, I'm not downing anybody here. I'm from Bangladesh, but what I'm pointing out is, if you have ever tried hiring in any kind of pool, you see the type of talent you get who call themselves salespeople there, it's going to be very difficult. How much more difficult would it be to get them to make something like a video audit? How much more difficult would them to get them to do something that's a bit more admin? What are the chances you can get them to want to be able to close? So we're not factoring in all those other things, right? We're just looking at like, oh shit, this guy, $600 per month, I can pay him 3 months, and even if he doesn't do anything, it's a thing that I'm paying this guy here 1 month. But we're not considering all the stuff that, okay, this guy has a lot more chance. He already knows the culture. They are in America. They can talk, and if you hire properly, you're supposed to get people who are already decent, at least in sales. And if it's a hungry person and they're willing to learn, they are salespeople naturally we're supposed to want to advance it more forward. Hey, like, okay, let me try to tackle this part. Naturally, once you're doing calls as a salesperson, I can imagine this for any salesperson. Even if it's your job just to make the calls, you can't help but wonder, like, what kind of things happening to close the person. Because as a salesperson, that's one of the most rewarding part of the job. So that's what, in a nutshell, is the whole point of the video, right? Like I said in the beginning, it's a very basic concept, not talking about anything rocket science here, but I haven't really compared these two in the past head on, and I would say this is the first time I'm being able to realize the benefits and pros and cons of both sides. Whereas if you're gonna really get to a point where you want to grow, and you're gonna be using cold calling as a strategy and having this kind of funnel, if you're hovering around 30, 40K a month, or whatever it may be, you just want to scale it up from here, this is a really good way to do it. This is a really good way to, it is definitely one of the options, right? Promoting yourself to become the coach / closer, and then really investing into a system and process that can nurture anybody who has the work ethic to be able to go through and have a high chance of sticking around. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I might be starting to make a few more videos, this is probably like one of the series I want to go through if I do make some more videos. Today was comparing one very common topic, cold callers, other countries versus getting somebody in America. So stay tuned. I may make a video on my realizations on delivery, some pretty big ones in that regard, and then also in management. All right, guys. Peace.